Hey there everybody. Today we are covering partner tips for labor. And this particular video is going to focus on tips that are especially helpful during the time of the coronavirus pandemic. So we've got 3 tips today, really speaking to partners and how they can best step up and be great support people during this time. So if you're watching this and you are the pregnant person and your partner's not with you, make sure that they watch it later or you pause and get them to watch it with you. Now, if we haven't met in real life, my name is Alice Turner. I'm a doula and a childbirth educator, and on my channel you're going to find videos about childbirth. So if that's your thing, then make sure that you subscribe and hit that notification bell so you'll know next time a video is out. Today we have 3 great tips for partners, and each of them starts with M, the letter M. So we've got 3 M that are partner tips that we are going to jump into. And the first one is especially important when it comes to giving birth during the coronavirus pandemic, and that has to do with masks. It is quite likely that if you are giving birth at a hospital during the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, that you will be asked to wear a mask, both the laboring person and the support person. So if you are required to wear a mask, there are a few things I want to let you know to think about, partners, some tips to making most of this experience with masks. First of all, as you'll see, it is a little more difficult to hear me with a mask on, right? It is buffered. It's a little bit hard to hear. And so do not be afraid when you're working with your healthcare team. They will definitely have masks on during this time to ask for things repeated. Now, I have had to do this myself when I have supported people during a cesarean birth, and I'm speaking with care providers that have masks on, so I'm really aware that sometimes it is hard to understand, and partners, this is easier job for you to do than your partner that's in labor. They are not going to really have the energy to keep asking for things repeated or asking for things louder, so be aware of that. Also, having that mask on really puts a bit of a barrier between you and the person you're supporting. So as you can tell, you might be able to tell from my eyes that I'm smiling with the mask on, but not necessarily. And so what I suggest is that you work as a team to figure out some form of communication that is a positive communication so that when you're wearing your mask, you can show each other a smile or a positive reaction, right? So instead of having the mask like this, you can do maybe a thumbs up, maybe a double thumbs up. Any variation to show that you're smiling underneath your mask. Support person, it's so important to show these emotions, and we have to figure out a way even if we're going to wear masks. So make sure that you practice that together and have a form of communication with that mask that's going to feel good and supported. Finally, being that the mask is a barrier between you, make sure that you're physically close when you're supporting someone. So even you pull a chair up to the bed if they're in the bed. Where they're standing, stand close by. You can always put a hand on, a touch on the arm, holding hands, touch on the shoulder, touch on the leg, just letting your hand rest on their leg. That physical closeness can show support almost as well as a smile on your face. And so make sure that that mask does not make you feel further disconnected from each other, but that you really lean in and add some other connection points. The second M of our partner tips is called mirroring. So mirroring is where you are like the mirror to your partner in labor. And what you want to do is do exactly what you are suggesting that they do. So for example, if you see tension in their shoulders, you might do with your shoulders like this and just show that you should shake it out. If you want to show a deep breath. If you have a mask on, like we talked about earlier, you might do it with hand signals like so you are mirroring what you want them to do. If you want to shake it out, if you want to put your arms up in palms and rest them nice and loose, you can do that. If you're not wearing a mask and you want to display an open mouth jaw, you can do that. If you're doing a position and you're suggesting, say, leaning, then you can do it too and show exactly what to do. So by you doing what you're suggesting, it's a lot easier for the person in labor to follow, and it's a lot of nonverbal communication which works really well in labor too. So the third M is going to be for management. There is a lot going on. Things are changing rapidly as you prepare for birth, and throw in a pandemic and it just really boosts up those questions that you have for your provider, questions about what's going on, and just unknowingness. And what can help if partners, you can be the managers. You can manage the data in this relationship. So what I mean by that is, as questions come up, as discussions come up, as you're preparing for this big day, make sure that you have a log that you can do questions, whether that's just a notebook, it's in your phone, somewhere that you're keeping track of all the questions that you need to ask your providers next time you see them, either in person or virtually. So this is a great thing for partners to do because you can take ownership of this task and it will take a big burden off your partner, who is doing a lot in a physical way, preparing for this birth and growing the baby and taking care of their own body. So if you can be the manager of data, and that also includes things like any resources that you might need, the name of your pediatrician, the phone number, how to get in touch with them, all the phone numbers that you need, whether you have a doula, whether you have a childbirth educator you can contact. Keeping track of all of that information in a real organized way and letting your partner know that you are the manager of it really helps reduce that stress. Now, when you go to your appointment with your provider, it is likely that partners are not going to be allowed to come along with, but that shouldn't mean that they shouldn't actually come with you virtually on your phone. So I really recommend that people say to their provider, hey, I've got my partner on the phone here so that they can hear everything and help me remember my questions. And partners, you can interact either on FaceTime or just with audio and really listen in. You can take notes if you're at home while your partner is at the doctor and really support them that way and make sure that they are getting all their questions answered. That, if you hear something and you're at a doctor's office, you might forget what they say. And then if there's two of you, especially someone at home taking notes, you're going to be better off knowing what you talked about and make sure that all your questions are answered. The other thing is, if you are seeing your care providers virtually on video, make sure that you have your partner there for that. So it's just another time to have another person there to manage that data about healthcare. There could be a time that partners are going to need to know more information, especially about if you are discharged from the hospital, especially if you leave the hospital earlier than planned. Partners are really going to need to know things to look for postpartum care, how to help take care of their partner and how to take care of the baby. And so they need to be really all in, be those data managers and be ready to go. So those are our 3 M's for partner tips, especially when birthing during the coronavirus pandemic. As a reminder, we've got tips for making the most of wearing masks during labor, how to use the mirroring technique, and how to be the managers of all of the data around birth and labor and postpartum. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel because next week we're going to do tips for the laboring person in the time of a pandemic. Okay guys, thanks for joining me today. Hope you enjoyed it.